let's start. Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Protect Your Data, How to Increase Security and Trust in Jira. I'm really excited that you are here today and that we can do this webinar together with our guest from Polymetis Apps, Oliver. Hi. So before we start with today's topic, we would like to introduce ourselves, talk a bit about how Atlassian approaches security and compliance in the cloud. And then we will hand over to Oliver, who is telling us a bit about PII Protection in Jira. And after all that, we answer your questions in the Q&A section. Introduction, Jira and Polymetis Apps. My name is Szczepanski. I'm one of the co-founders of Jira. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer and a consultant here, working since 15 years in the professional area and also with the Atlassian tools and various different roles, starting as a classical project and process manager for 4.5 years, eventually became more agile during Good Game Studios and new work. And 5 years ago, I started as a consultant for the Atlassian tools. And today with me, I'd like to welcome Saskia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Saskia. I'm a business psychologist and I support YAM in marketing. Well, I started my career as head of marketing at Skybot, but I kind of couldn't let go of the theoretical aspects. So I also worked during that time as a mentor at the University of Mittweida in the fields of communication management. After that, I was responsible for the customer journey at City Mobility, and here again, also worked as a mentor at the University Fresenius in the fields of psychology. Well, and last year, I have joined Jira.
All right, thank you. So some words about Jira. We're founded in 2019 in Riesenbeck. Really important to know that. Small town near the Belgian-Netherlands border. We're a cloud-first solution partner. That's not really a title, but we consider ourselves as a cloud-first solution partner. We started telling Atlassian that we love the cloud and we believe that the cloud will be great. And 4 years later, I think we're right. The cloud is great and becomes more and more better day by day. We're also a Platinum Solution Partner. 1.5 years after we founded Jira, we reached the highest level. We're also cloud specialized to prove that we are familiar with the cloud products and are capable of moving or migrating customers into the cloud. The whole project is a change management project, and that's what we do. We're more than 51 employees right now. I stopped counting this year because we have so many new people. Probably we're over 60 now. And we have more than 30 partners, which is really important to us, really important that we talk about our partnerships, because we believe that's really important to closely work with them in customer projects, but also talk about what they build and how important it is to use those apps in the cloud. And I'm really happy that also Polymetis Apps is one of our partners, and I'd like to hand over to Oliver.
Good afternoon. At least for those of us who have afternoon in this time zone. Hi, my name is Oliver. I'm from Polymetis Apps. I'm one of the co-founders. I'm happy to be here. I'm really, really happy to be included in that partners list of Jira, Jan. Well, about me. I live near the Baltic Sea. The Baltic Sea is big, but I live in a very small village. It's a very far north part of Germany, which is also where I spend most of my work time by trade. I'm a technical writer, which basically is the same job as software development, only for a bit more squishy subjects instead of computers. But really, it's basically the same thing. And I'm a fan of analog photography because it's far away from a computer and I get to play with chemicals, which is not something I do well, but with much pleasure and fun. And today I'd like to talk about security and trust in apps and why everything in cloud is great and why we can all trust different apps and what it all means. And yeah, happy to be here. Oh yeah, I get to talk about Polymetis Apps. This is my favorite part. Polymetis Apps, we're an Atlassian Marketplace partner. We are focused on enterprise customers. We try to deliver security and trust solutions for them. One of our main apps is PII Protection for Jira, which I'll give you a glimpse on later today, but others include API key managers for Jira and Confluence. And we're big fans of Forge. We were the first partner who migrated a Connect app to a Forge app on the marketplace. Expression Tester, by the way, another free app if you're a developer, this is for you. We've just been on the marketplace for a year and 23 days today. So February 1st, 2022, when we got funded by Atlassian Ventures, and we spun off from our parent company. Two other claim to fame for Polymetis Apps. We are one of the very, 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 very few partners who already have an app available for Compass. If you have not tried out Compass yet, sign up for the beta. It truly is fantastic. And also, please install our app and give us feedback. We are really interested in what you're thinking. And finally, we are, and it's true, the creator of the only Dogecoin app on the Atlassian Marketplace. So if crypto is your thing, get Dogecoin for JSL.
Atlassian likes it too. So.
Oh, they do.
Thank you very much. As mentioned before, we will start with some announcements and some talks about Atlassian security and compliance. So if security and compliance is important to you, we start a webinar series all around security and compliance topics where we present apps from different vendors to improve your cloud infrastructure. So please make sure that you follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter, that we post all the events coming up. Atlassian empowers 235,000 organizations around the world to do their best work. Earning and keeping your trust is at the heart of this effort. Moving to the cloud starts with trust. And in cloud services, trust begins with security, but it doesn't end there. It also includes reliability, privacy, and compliance with industry standards and legal regulations. So to fully earn your trust, Atlassian is committed to these 4 principles I would like to walk you through. So Atlassian follows extensive administrative, operational, and configuration practices to track and protect your information through a comprehensive set of security controls and practices. Their dedicated support team is around roughly 250 people, continuously improves development, security operations, and threat mitigation practices to detect and prevent new security threats. Your organization run mission-critical projects and operations on cloud products. That's why Atlassian is committed to delivering products, application networks that are stable and secure at scale. Atlassian products are built on best-in-class technologies, and the business continuity, disaster recovery, and data backup programs ensure the impact on customers is minimized. Something should happen. Atlassian products regularly undergo independent third-party audits and certifications against global standards such as SOC 2, ISO certificates, and PCI DSS. Additionally, all Atlassian service providers undergo regular SOC 1 and SOC 2 and also ISO audits. Those vendors are, let's say, AWS and TT. Your data is at Atlassian's responsibility, and they are committed to protecting it from unauthorized access and supporting your organization in meeting data privacy obligations. They provide information and governance controls to help you make the right decision for your organization. Since this series is about security and compliance, I'd like to talk more about these two topics and how Atlassian approaches them. Security isn't a destination. It is an ongoing, never-ending journey. And it starts with security in development. Atlassian develops software using agile development processes and apply the same approach to security. Just as this enables them to rapidly develop and update their software to meeting customers' evolving needs, it also allows them to quickly target and fix newly discovered security vulnerabilities within strictly enforced timeframes. They monitor each cloud service across all development, staging, and production environments, so they can immediately notify their developers of any security issues. And this allows them to fix most problems before the affected software is ever developed to customers. And they also guard against common web application attacks like cross-site scripting, SQL injection, so on and so forth, although not controls are compatible with all products. Now, when a product is released, we need to make sure that the product is secure, right? So all data sent between you as a customer and the cloud application is encrypted at transit and at rest. Atlassian products use Transport Layer Security, TLS, 1.2 plus, with perfect forward secrecy, PFS, to protect data from unauthorized disclosure and modification. Furthermore, they have internal and external testing to track down, prevent, and patch product vulnerability. They utilize industry-leading vulnerability scanners, container scanning software, and static code scanners to identify security bugs and vulnerabilities in their products and services. And one of their external programs I'd like to mention is the bug bounty program. And that helps them find and correct any errors in software by incentivizing a large crowd of competing good guys, or bug hunters, let's say, and hackers. These programs yield the additional benefit of increasing the cost of the bad guys, in terms of time and resources, of finding and exploiting original vulnerabilities, making such malign ventures far less attractive. And last but not least, they hire specialized security consulting firms to conduct target penetration tests on high-risk products and infrastructure. And those tests generally include white box testers, code-assisted testers, and threat-based testing. But it's not limited to software and services. They limit physical access to the data centers where customer data is hosted to authorized personnel only, using biometric methods for verification, additional defense including on-premise security guards, closed circuit video monitoring, and stuff like that. And also they rely on the data center hosting partners, like mentioned, AWS and NTT, to manage the physical and environmental security concerns of their data centers. And last but not least, Atlassian implements controls at each layer of the stack, dividing the infrastructure by zones, environments, and services. They control access to their sensitive networks through the use of VPC, virtual privacy networks, routing firewall rules, and software-defined networking. All connectivity obviously is encrypted. And the staff remote connectivity requires device certificates, multi-factor authentication, and use proxy for sensitive networks. And all this comes down also to compliance. Atlassian adhere to widely accepted compliance standards and regulations. Their service organization control reports, which are certified by third parties, describe how they comply with common controls and objectives. These reports detail for you and your auditors how the controls they've established support operations and compliance at Atlassian. And here are just a few and some of the most important external compliance and certifications. The basis of this certification is the development and implementation of security program, which is ISO 27001, 2, and 18. And the basis is the software and implementation of a security management program, including the development and implementation of an information security management system. This widely recognized and widely respected international security standard specifies that companies that attain this certification also systematically evaluate their information security risk, taking into account the impact of security threats and vulnerabilities. That they design and implement a comprehensive suite of information security controls and address security risks, and implement an overreaching audit and compliance management process to ensure that the controls met their needs on an ongoing basis. SOC 2 is an auditing procedure that ensures service providers securely manage your data to protect the interests of your organization and the privacy of all its clients. For security conscious businesses, SOC 2 compliance is a minimal requirement when considering being a SaaS provider. It is developed by the American Institute of CPAs. SOC 2 defines criteria for managing customer data based on 5 trust service principles, so to speak, which is security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. The next one is the CSA, Security Trust and Assurance Registry. It's free, publicly accessible registry that documents the security controls provided by various cloud computing offerings, thereby helping customers access the security of cloud providers they currently use or are considering contracting with. So also open documents where you can read how Atlassian tackles compliance. And last but not least, we do have the PCI DSS, which is a payment card industry data security standard, and is a set of security standards formed about 2004 by Visa and MasterCard and some others. And it's governed by its own council. And it's important for companies to have that when you buy something at Atlassian and they hold your credit card data, they need to make sure that their infrastructure is like really, really secure. But that's not all. There's even more you can do, and you can find all those information on Atlassian.com/trust, and also on the roadmap at Atlassian.com/roadmap. Some of the security and related features that are coming up on the Atlassian roadmap are bring your own key. So currently, or not currently, about I think 2 or 3 months, we will see bring your own key, which is an early access to encrypt your Jira standard and custom field issue data with a key you manage in your own AWS KMS instance. Atlassian will increase the compliance to FedRAMP, the Federal Risk and Authority Management Program in the United States, which is a government-wide program that provides standardized approach to security assessment, authorization, and continuous monitoring for cloud products and services. When you are in the medical area, you probably know HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Atlassian is also heavily investing into that so that companies in the medical area are secure and compliant in that way. Atlassian will introduce a new backup and restore API so that you can programmatically back up and restore your instances with all the data. Atlassian will improve data residency, though, that you can set up your cloud environment in various different areas around the globe. And furthermore, you can now have multi-factor or two-factor authentication for your external users, which are not managed by you in your, let's say, Azure Active Directory or Google Cloud. So you can now enforce that on the external users. And coming up also, I think pretty soon, is the single sign-on for your Jira Service Management customers, so that they don't need to register before they can use your Jira Service Management. All of this is just the tip of the iceberg. The Atlassian Cloud infrastructure can be extended with apps to even more secure your instances and meet regulatory requirements. So with any further ado, and all this dry stuff, I'd like to hand over to Oliver for a live demonstration for one of those apps.
Ooh, thank you, Jan. Thank you. And this is what this is all about. Like, we want to increase security and trust in Jira Cloud. And so here we are, right? It's 2023. We're going into cloud. If we're not on data anymore, nobody knows that I know is going to stick on server, not without support, at least. So cloud it is. And either you've migrated to cloud, you're about to migrate to cloud, or you want to talk to Jan afterwards about your cloud migration. Either way, cloud is where we're going. And I have to say, it's fantastic. Jira Cloud, Confluence Cloud are fantastic products. They're a lot of fun. They're so much nicer to use. And not having to manage infrastructure anymore is a huge bonus for every admin. But that's not all. As Jan just alluded to, there's also the topic of apps, and apps is what makes Jira and Confluence fly, really. I pulled these numbers from an Atlassian blog article. They are, I'm sorry about this, they are a year old. They have only gone up after that time, but the latest official ones I could find. And there was 28,000 app installations every week. There's like 5,000 plus apps and integrations available. There must at least be like 6,000 by now. I'm pretty sure the ecosystem is growing a lot. There's more than 1,000 partners selling on the marketplace, and over 70% of Jira and Confluence customers have an app installed. And if I'm not totally mistaken, I'm sorry, I could not find a source for this number, but I think Atlassian at some point mentioned at least an average of 4 or something apps per cloud instance. And with more apps, the higher the tier goes. So basically, apps are a fact of life, and apps are really, really important to the Atlassian ecosystem. And we all want apps. But also, we want to stay secure. We want to trust the vendor we're talking to. So let me in on your secret. Not all cloud apps are created equal. I'm sorry, I have to just drop down to a slightly technical level, but there's 2 different architectures in use today for building apps for Atlassian Cloud. It's either Connect, which has been around a long time, or Forge, which is the new kid on the block, which can do some fancy stuff, but also can't do everything Connect does. Both are great. And at Polymetis Apps, we are using both architectural styles, like both frameworks, for very, very different purposes, and they have very different strengths and, yes, also some weaknesses and shortcomings. But yeah, there's like very, very different. But more importantly, if we decide to install an app, and now talking from a security perspective or a trust perspective, there's 2 questions we typically ask ourselves. We're asking, hey, what is this piece of software allowed to do? Like, what can it actually access? And where does it run? Like, who controls it? And let's jump down to the first question a bit. Like, what is an app allowed to do? So just like a regular user in Jira or Confluence, an app has different permissions that regulate what the app can do or not. In the context of apps, that's called scopes, but it basically works the same thing. Which scopes an app needs depends a bit on the feature set. It's controlled by the vendor, and they set the scopes when they publish an app to the marketplace. And which kind of scopes are available for an app depends on whether it's a Connect or a Forge app. And to give you an example, I've listed all the scopes a Connect app can have. It's 8, right? It could be none, which would be perfect for an app that just presents the weather in a dashboard widget. It doesn't need to affect anything in Jira, doesn't need to lead any information. Non-scope would be fine. But it's also, the other scopes are reading data, writing data, which implies reading it first, deleting data, which implies writing, being a project admin, being an admin, and act as a user, and also access email addresses. Last one being quite interesting from a GDPR perspective. Yeah, and you've seen these, by the way. If you've ever been to the marketplace, you've seen this. It usually looks like this. There's like at the bottom right, there's like small piece says integration details and da-da-da-da. This is what the app can do. And this particular app can act on the user's behalf, can administer projects, delete, write data, but it can't read email addresses, for example. So now we've seen Connect app scopes. Let's look at what the new fancy stuff does, the Forge stuff. So Forge apps use Atlassian's OAuth scopes. And there's 2 flavors of those available, either classic or granular. But depending on which flavor you choose, there's up to 200 scopes to choose from. So you can be really, really granular, like really surgically precise on what kind of permissions your app needs. And of course, that also brings up long lists. And I've got an example here. And this is an app that doesn't take too many scopes, and it's already much, much longer. There's another kind of permission that Forge apps can request, and that's egress, meaning being able to send data out of the actual instance, i.e. connecting to the open internet. And that's pretty much all of it. You see these these permissions on integration details. When you install a Forge app, you also get a consent screen. So you get a list of, hey, what is this app allowed to do? Now, up to the next, and from my perspective, even more interesting question, where does it run? And here, Connect and Forge are very, very different. And to talk about this, I'm going to introduce a very simple architecture picture, which is this one. And it shows the user on the left side. That's somebody using a product like Jira or Confluence. And it shows a browser window, basically what the user sees, like the way the user interacts. And it shows the Jira instance in the background, which runs on Atlassian infrastructure. And this instance is Polymetis-apps.atlassian.net, and it provides the interface that we see in the browser. And this is how it works for everything that's not app related. Now, once I install a Connect app, something happens. And we can see that here. The Jira Cloud instance still works on Atlassian infrastructure, but within the UI that the browser sees, there's a huge part that's being provided by the app, and I've made that red so we can all see that. And this piece of the UI is not provided by Atlassian infrastructure, but it comes from somewhere else. Technically, it's an iframe you load from somewhere else. And this is how a Connect app is integrated. If you think about this weather widget I mentioned earlier, it's basically an iframe rendering something else. And this something else has to run somewhere. The cloud is always somebody else's computer. In this case, it's the vendor of the app. And we can see that at the bottom somewhere on the internet, there's the Connect app running, and it shows the UI. But it also has the possibility to talk to the Jira Cloud instance using the REST API. And what it can do depends a bit on the REST API. But say if it has read permissions, it can just read everything that's on your Jira instance, like everything. It doesn't care about any other permissions. It can read everything, which again, in some cases, is what you really, really want, right? You want it to be able to read everything. But still, it's somewhere else on the internet, different architecture somewhere, it's able to read all the stuff. Then there's Forge with data egress. This could be another case for a weather widget. Again, I get like a red part in the app UI of the app UI somewhere in the product that I can show that I could render my weather widget. But this time, the actual code producing the weather widget does not run somewhere on the internet. It runs on Atlassian infrastructure. This is the major difference between Forge and Connect app. The Forge app still uses the REST API to talk to the Jira Cloud instance. It still needs to have some scopes and permissions, but it runs on the Atlassian infrastructure. And in this case, to get weather data, if you want to show whether it's raining or sunny, you need to get that from somewhere. And this is the data egress. And I've drawn this small arrow going to the data, going to the internet, meaning this Forge app in particular still has access to the internet. And of course, you could retrieve data from the open internet. We could also send data out, which again, for some integrations might be exactly what you want. But there's also this case, and this is a Forge app without data egress. And this app runs on the Atlassian infrastructure. It runs directly next to the Jira instance. It can render a UI, and it can talk whether the REST API with the host product. What it cannot do is talk to the outside world. And this not being able to talk to the outside world is quite a big thing. Because in this particular case, not even the vendor can actually look what's going on with the app. There's no way a vendor could use this to read your data. Like they just have no opportunity. Sure, they can have log files, but you can also opt out of a vendor being able to read log files. So this is a way, if you have data in your Jira instance that you do not want to see somewhere else, that you do not want to go somewhere else, this is the only way you can achieve that currently. With that, I'd like to jump over to the actual demo, because of course I promised a demo and I aim to keep that promise. I'm going to show you an app of ours, PII Protection, and I'll just gonna walk you through this, and then I'll talk about why we've decided to, what kind of architecture we chose and why we chose that particular approach for this particular product. And hopefully this will all go well. I know it's a very, very brave thing to try a live demo, but here I am, trying to be brave. All right, so this is my test Jira instance. This is the main UI of PII Protection for Jira. It's a pretty straightforward product. It has basically just 2 tabs that you can use, and they're called Findings and Settings. And let's start with the settings. What PII Protection for Jira does is it makes sure that whenever any sensitive data or PII data is introduced into your Jira instance, you either get notified of it, or you get a log of this data being introduced, or even you get to take automated actions. And you can add different kind of checks to check for different kind of sensitive data. And you can also set up different actions. I've set up a few of these for us, but the important thing is every single change any user, like whoever, makes to this Jira instance is being passed by the app. So if you update a comment, if you update a custom field, if you update the description, every single change is being passed by the app to make sure no data is introduced that you do not want there. And again, I've set this up a bit. There's 2 things that I really, really care a lot about. And one of them is credit cards. I don't want any credit card information in my Jira instance. Thank you very much. That just leads to trouble. And I don't want passwords. And let's see. So for credit card numbers, I want to check all projects, and I could change that to just check particular projects. And I could pick them from a list, but in this case, I want to check all of them. And I have a bunch of actions. In this case, if there's a credit card number, I want to notify the reporter of the ticket, and I want to delete it immediately. Like credit cards are now too much risk from my perspective, so let's get rid of those. And the other one I have is passwords. And with passwords, I'm also I also want to make sure they do not exist in the system. If the password is there, I want to notify the assignee, say, hey, there's a password in your ticket, what gives? But I also want to redact the data. And that way make sure it's not immediately visible. So how does it work? Let's say I have this nice Jira software project and I have a few tasks to do for getting ready for Team 23, and we've just gotten all the tickets. That's good. And I want the team to book a hotel. And how are we gonna book a hotel? Oh yeah, sure. I'm gonna do the stupid thing. Just use my credit card, and I'm gonna enter my credit card number here. I click save, and now I've got a credit card number in my system. Everybody in the team will now start ordering Netflix or stuff from Amazon with it. And they missed their window. The ticket's gone. And this is how quickly PII Protection can react if this credit card number is introduced. And now the issue is gone. Unless you have one of these fantastic backup apps available, it's really gone for good. Another example of what we might have, and this is something that has actually happened to me quite a few times. Somebody needs, I've got a problem. I'd say I want to submit an interest sentence. Let's say, or what could be my problem? I can't log in. All right, I can't log in. So, and let's write short text. Somebody has pre-written something. I can't seem to log onto my account. Can you check? This is what I use. It has a username, great, and a password, which should not be there. And here we go. Let's send this request. Oh no, somebody has a password. And again, now anybody in my organization could see this. Any agent could see this and do weirdly nefarious things. But here we go. What happened? Immediately, all this data is being redacted, and there we go. So, good thing, right? Let's go back to PII Protection. There is a tab called Findings. Oh, this is reloading now. Good. Which should, which shows us what the app has found. There's a slight delay for technical reasons between actually performing the action and any findings showing up here. So bear with me here. But let's look at the first one. So passwords, we found a password. It's in the issue JT6. Here we go. And this project, when it was found, we couldn't notify an assignee. Why couldn't we notify an assignee? Well, it wasn't assigned just yet, but we redacted the data and what was replaced. And there we go. And it'll show up in a minute or two. A similar entry will show up for the deleted issue, and it'll have two check marks. One being the email address, the email or notification that was sent out, and the other one being that the issue was in fact deleted, and we've already seen that it was gone. Obviously, we're dealing with a lot of sensitive data with this product. And obviously, we decided that we wanted to use an architecture that makes sense of it. To say it up front, you can build an application like this with Connect and with all kinds of Forge stuff, and you can make it secure. Like that's not the problem. Like it's not a security thing; it's a trust thing mainly for us. Because when you think about having an application that reads all of your really, literally every single one of your changes, all of your data, and looking for sensitive data. Like if you install this, you're clearly worried about there being sensitive stuff there. You really don't want to go the Connect route where everything is being exported to yet another vendor. Not because because those might be bad people, but because that's just another vendor that you need to onboard, yet another vendor that you need to trust. You already trust Atlassian, right? And extending that trust to a piece of code running on Atlassian infrastructure with no ability to talk to the outside world is a much, much shorter leap than trusting yet another vendor who runs their application somewhere else in a different data center on different infrastructure with different policies. So from our point of view, the burden of trust is much, much lower with this approach. It does have some limitations, of course. it runs on the FORCE platform. We can only perform those kind of actions that we can perform on that platform. If you do stuff on the open internet, you can build any kinds of infrastructure or technological stuff. So sure, but for all intents and purposes, I think this is featurely equivalent to what I would build on Connect at least. I see a question. How does the app detect if a user added sensitive data as well? So we subscribe to an issue updated, issue created, comment updated, comment created event. Basically, to any kind of data change in Jira, we get a hook. We get informed about that, and we run through that change and look for any sensitive data. So Jira provides that for us. So there's a hook for every change, and we check every single change. So it doesn't have to be a specific field. It can be any field. It's any text-based field. And we check all of them.